Hey, this is René, welcome back to another video on this channel, and today we will talk about the pattern detector program again that we wrote in the previous 3 videos, and we will take all these signals from the hammer chart pattern, the engulfing or the star chart patterns, and we will turn them into trading signals. But before we do this, did you know that we have a complete course for MT5 programming where you learn a lot more than I teach on YouTube? There you learn even the basics, like I explain everything in complete detail, even like variables, how they are stored in the PC, and what you need to understand everything. So if you're interested in learning MT5 programming, or just bring your skills to a whole new level, check out the link below this video, and you will find our website where you also find all the information about the course and all the complete content list, so everything you learn there. But in this video, we want to talk about the pattern detector again. So we already wrote a program that writes or that can find chart patterns. So let me demonstrate it to you real quick. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't watched the previous 3 videos, you will not understand anything and you cannot work with this program. So you should watch the previous 3 videos if you want to follow this video that you are watching right now. So we wrote this program and it can show us buy and sell chart pattern formations, and you can see they are displayed in the chart. They always have this little arrow and a description like hammer, engulfing, or a morning star or evening star or whatever. And we can now turn these visual signals into trading signals. So what we want to do here is we will have some settings for our program. Now we will start with the position opening right away. So first of all, whenever we want to open positions in MetaTrader 5, the easiest way to do so is using the CTrade class. And this is a class which is defined in a include file here. You can find it here in the navigator. If you click on include, trade, and then trade.mqh, and there you can find this CTrade class and the complete definition of this class. So there's a lot of code, and you do not need to understand everything right now. The only important thing is that we can now create so-called object variables of this type. So the type for this object variable is CTrade, and the object variable is named trade. We could also name it Peter or whatever you want, but I like to name it trade. This is a global variable for us, so we can use it in any function. And we will use it in this onTick function. But first of all, we wrote all the functions like the getHammer signal, the getEngulfing, and the getStar signal, so that we start getting these signals by looking at the previous candle. So we never look at the current candle. And this is why we can build or program, so we only check like the previous candle once per bar. So whenever we open a new candle, we check if there was a signal for the previous 1, 2, or 3 candles. So whenever we only want to check something on close basis, the easiest way to do so is to check if there is a new bar. So let's create this integer global variable and initialize it in this onInit function. And we put the return value of this ibars function inside of this variable. So this means that right now in this total bars variable, we have the total amount of bars in a chart, or in the chart where the expert advisor is running, and put it inside of this variable. Now we calculate, with every single tick, we calculate the total amount of bars again. And then we check if the total amount of bars is now bigger than the value in this total bars variable. And make sure to understand that these variables are completely different. the total bars variable is a global variable that we declared here, and this bars variable is a local variable that only lives in this onTick function. So this variable is updated with every single tick, and this variable is not updated with every single tick. So we check if the bars variable is greater than this total bars variable, because this means that we now have more bars than we had before. So it means pretty much that there's a new bar in the chart. And only then we update this total bars variable. So this makes sure that we only process the code inside of the body of this if statement. So this piece of code only once per bar, only if there is a new bar. And now we can go ahead and check if our signals, or we can say int hammer signal is equal to get hammer signal. Now we say int engulfing signal is equal to get engulfing signal, and int star signal is equal to get star signal. This works because all of our functions are designed like this. They always return an integer value, and you can see it here. We did it this way because now we know if this integer value is 1, we have a buy signal. If it is -1, we have a sell signal. If it is 0, we do not have any signal at all. So what we can do here is, we can now go ahead and check if hammer signal is greater than 0, which means it is 1. And in this case, we open by position. Or we could write a something useful here. We can write something like new hammer signal or new hammer buy signal, like this. And then once we did this, we can then go ahead, take our trade object that we declared here, or that we created here, and then we write trade, and then we can use all the functions that are part of this CTrade class. So for example, we can say buy, because buy is a function that is defined in the CTrade class, and we can now use it using this trade object. And we can create a position now. So you can see this buy function has several parameters that we can provide to this function. We can say, for example, we want to open 0.1 lots. And the rest of these parameters, they have this equal, and then they have a default value, which means that we do not have to provide a value here. But it makes sense to provide a value because we can, at the very end, we can add a comment. So we can say we want to open this in the current chart symbol. Then we provide a price, and we could say we choose the ask price, but we can also say 0 for the price, the SL, and the TP, because this means we take the ask price and we do not have a SL or TP. But the last parameter here is the comment. So we can say hammer. So we know what chart signal opened this position. So if we write it like this, this is already enough to trade hammer buy signals. And now we can also say else if hammer signal is smaller than 0, because in this case, let's just copy these two lines. We can say we have a hammer sell signal. So we do not use this buy function, but we use a sell function. So if we compile this and now go to the MetaTrader 5 and open the strategy tester, you can do so by clicking View Strategy Tester. Then you can click on Visualize on this Overview tab. Then you choose this pattern detector. And then you can choose any market you want to test this program in and any time frame. Let's just choose the Euro-US dollar M15 chart for now. So we can run this, and it takes a second to load. But then we should see that all of these chart patterns are displayed in the chart, but right now we only trade the hammer signals. So let me speed this up a little bit, and we see this is not working. Okay, I think since we do not see anything, I'm pretty sure there's a problem with this piece of code here. And yeah, there is a problem because I'm checking if total bars is greater than bars. This doesn't really make sense because total bars is never updated. So we will have to check if bars is greater than total bars, right? Because we want to check if there are no more bars than before. So if we do it like this and run the test again, we should now see that all the signals are displayed in the chart and the hammer signals are also traded. Okay, so there we already had a lot of signals. Let's maybe run this test again, a little bit slower. So the problem with the strategy tester is that, I mean, you have this thing here to measure the speed, but there's only like this medium fast speed or like completely over the top extreme speed. So there's no real middle thing. Okay, so now we have this hammer signal here. You can see it because there is a hammer, of course, and we see this arrow and the hammer explanation next to it. And with the start of the next bar, we then open a buy position with 0.1 lots. And you can also see this commentary, which says hammer. This is cool, isn't it? Same for the open position. We have this position now, and the comment says hammer, because this hammer bar was responsible, or was like the reason why we opened this hammer signal buy position. So let's wait for another hammer here. I hope that we will see one more signal, maybe a sell signal. But yeah, you already get the idea how this works pretty much, right? So there we had an engulfing signal, but we do not trade this yet because we still have to add the code for this. But yeah, maybe I go to the super fast mode. And yeah, you can see we open a lot of signals and they all have this hammer comment. So they are all open because of the hammer chart formation. So let's close the tester and go back to our program code here. So what we can do is we can also say, maybe let's add some input parameters here. And you can do this at the very top outside of any of these functions. You can say input bool, for example, is hammer. And there you can say if you want to trade or not trade a signal. So if we do it like this, we can now see that in the strategy tester, for example, we have this inputs tab, and we can now see this is hammer input, and we can change the value. So the user is able to change it like real quick. And what we can do now is we can say we want to check if there are hammer signals only, or we want to trade them only if it is active. And also we could move this code here, so we only check if there are hammer signals if this is hammer input variable is set to true, right? And we can do the same thing pretty much for engulfing. So we say we only want to trade the engulfing signals if this is engulfing input variable is true. Now we also move this line here, because only then we want to check if there are engulfing signals. And then we can just copy this block pretty much, paste it here, because we only have to change some of these things. First of all, we do not check for hammer signals, but for engulfing signals, like this. And then we write new engulfing buy signal or new engulfing sell signal. And the rest stays the same, but the comment for the trades, the comment has to change, right? So if we compile this and if we run our program again, please realize that the hammer signals are set to false and the engulfing signals are set to true. So we do not see the hammer signals now, and we do not trade them. But we see the engulfing signals and the star signals, and we trade the engulfing signals. So let's check this out. Here you can see we had engulfing signals already. And for example, we had them here, and I think we traded it. And we had an engulfing signal here, we traded it. So this seems to work. And watch the comment, it says that, yeah, it is an engulfing signal that we just traded. So let's do this one more time for the star signals. So we say input bool is star true. Now let's add it here. If star is set to true, then we want to calculate the star signals in the chart, and then let's copy this block here one more time. Copy it and paste it here. And now we have to check if the star signal, whoops, can even make this a little bit bigger, if the star signal is greater than 0 or if the star signal is smaller than 0, then we have a new star signal and we write star here for the order comment. The rest can stay pretty much the same. So let's go back to our test here. You can see is hammer is turned to false, is engulfing is also false, and the star signal is active because the input parameter is set to true. So if we run this program again, you can see we should now only see the star signals. These were 3 morning stars, and we trade them, and we see this star comment, and we also see an evening star, and we traded it. So you can see this seems to work. Now this is still a little bit ugly because we get a lot of positions and they are never closed. So this is a big mess and you cannot really trade like this. So what we have to do here is we have to add a take profit and a stop loss. So what we can do is we can say we create some more input variables. And it's always a good idea to also make the volume like a variable that the user can define. Also, we want to have the take profit maybe in points. Like we could say 100 points and the SL also in points. We could say, for example, 50 points. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The user can change it at any time. So what we want to do here is in our program, before we go to checking the signals, we first of all calculate the entry, the TP and the SL because we might use it later. So what we do here is we first of all get the ask and the bid price, and we can do so by using the symbol info double function. Then we provide the current chart symbol, and as a second parameter we have to provide one identifier here, and this is symbol ask in this case. Then for the bid price we can simply copy this line and say symbol bid here. So this symbol info double function, it works like this. You can provide a symbol as a first parameter, and we usually use the chart symbol in most cases. And then as a second parameter, you have one of these identifiers here. You can see them here. So, so you can see all of these identifiers are possible options. So you can choose one of these options, and whatever option you choose, this value will then be returned as a double value and can be stored in any variable. So this is the code that you need to run to get the ask and bid price. Also, it is always a good idea to round these values. So you can use this normalize double function for this. And I will do the same thing here, normalize double bit, and round it to a precision of the amount of digits after the decimal point. Now we want to calculate the TP for buy positions, right? And in this case, we take our ask price and we add the TP points. Since the TP points are 100, this is not really a good idea, because if we have a market like this, like Euro US dollar or Australian dollar, Canada dollar, it doesn't make sense to add 100 because it would result into 100.80 or 90 in this case. So what we have to do is we have to add 100 points, and a point is in MT5 always like the smallest price change or the smallest possible movement in the last digit after the decimal point. So in this case, if we have 5 digits after the decimal point, 1 point is 0.0001. So we could multiply it like this, but you can exchange this with underscore point, because underscore point is a system variable that always holds the point value for the current chart symbol. So once you did this, you always want to round these values, because otherwise it might give you problems later on. So once we did this, we will have to calculate the SL for buy positions. In this case, we take the ask price, we subtract these SL points and multiply it with point, of course. Then we go ahead and say SL buy is equal to normalized double SL buy, and we round it to a precision of digits. Okay, so once we did this, we have to do the same thing for sell positions. So we take the bid price, we subtract the TP points, because for sell positions, the TP has to be below the entry price, of course. We multiply it with point. So now we want to round it, but I want to show you something different. We can, of course, always do this in one line, like this. So this line has the same result as these two lines. It is up to you what you like more. I like it more in two lines, or this is at least what I do most of the time, so I got used to it. But of course, you can do it like this if you like it more. SL points. So this is like the same after all. Okay, so what we did now is we calculated the bid, the ask, the TP, and the SL. So now we can add it here, where we use the buy and sell position. So first of all, we said the lots are also a input variable. So we can say instead of this 0.1, the hard-coded 0.1, we add lots. We can do this for all the operations here. And yeah, then we can say SA open price for buy positions, we choose the ask price. SL, we choose SL buy, and SATP, we choose TP buy. Now we can erase these three zeros, and for the sell position, we choose the bid price, the SL sell, and the TP sell. And that's it. Now we can do the same thing for all these buy and sell function calls. So first of all, exchange this 0.1 with the lots variable, and then say ask SL buy TP buy for the buy functions, and then for the sell functions we say bid is the open price, SL sell is the SL for the sell positions, and TP sell is the TP for the sell positions. So last but not least, the star, the morning star and the evening star, I think we have lots again, we have ask, we have SL buy, TP buy, and then we have the bid price for sell positions, we have SL sell and TP sell, like this. So once you compile this, you will now see some things changed. First of all, we have more input variables. For example, we could now say we want to open 0.2 lots. And then we have the TP points and the SL points, and we can always change it. So we can say, for example, 100 TP points, 200 SL points. And by the way, if you want to modify this even more, you could copy this 2 more times and maybe write lots hammer, lots engulfing, and lots star. And TP points hammer, TP points engulfing, TP points star, and so on and so on. So you can choose different values for all of these chart patterns. Because, and then of course you will have to add some more lines here or change some of this code, like to make it happen, that every chart pattern opens a different position. But in this case, we will test it like this. So right now we are trading, or we can choose to trade every chart pattern. This will again be a big mess, I think, because we get a lot of positions, but we do not get that much positions in the end, because they are closed either in TP or SL if the price moves away from the open price. So let's wait for the first position. It should be there after this position, this candle is closed, because this is a hammer. We know this already because we did this test before. So let's wait for this hammer signal. There is a hammer signal, and you can see we now open with 0.2 lots, and we have a SL and a TP, and let me show it to you real quick. So here you can see if we start at the open price and check this, this should be 100 points and this will be 200 points. So this seems to work. So now once the price hits the TP or the SL, the position is closed. And yeah, this works for all the chart signals, I think. So you can see all these positions are opened, but also all these positions are closed because yeah, we now have a TP and a SL. And yeah, you can also watch, like in the MetaTrader, you can see this graph, and you can see with these settings in this time frame with the TP and SL distance, it doesn't seem to work for the first trades. But since we now wrote a program, we can test this in all the different charts, all the different time frames, and of course, you can change a lot here. You can change these inputs. You can also change, like for the hammer signal and the star signal, you can change these ratios because they have function parameters, and you can change like the max ratios or the minimum ratios here. So this will always give you a completely new testing result and a completely new live trading result. So there's a lot you can do with this program now, with this pattern detector, or in fact it is a pattern trader now that trades hammer, engulfing, and star signals. So in the end, I will show you the whole program code one more time, so you can copy it if you like. And yeah, maybe you can just pause the video or make a screenshot if you want to have a look at this and if you want to copy it. So these are the first functions. Now let's go down here to the first part of the onTick function. I will not explain everything, but if you like, just make a screenshot or make several screenshots and you can copy this whole code. Also, I have to say, I do not recommend copying this whole code. Instead, I recommend watching the tutorials and really do the same things that I do, program it with me together, because this is, from my personal experience, like the only way that you learn something. Because otherwise you are just copying stuff that someone else did and you will not learn something, and you will never become a good programmer or trader. But this is just some advice that I can give to you. I'm not responsible for your decisions. If you always want to stay in the same position and do not make any progress, you can just copy the code. But again, I will never recommend such a stupid action. Okay, so once I'm done showing you all the code, you are always welcome to modify this code if you want to, or maybe if you have some more ideas how I should modify this code, you're always able to leave a comment below this video. I will have a look at all of them, and maybe if I think there's another change that makes sense, if many of you are interested, maybe if there are some thumbs up on this comment, I can then make one more video on this pattern detector program. But after all, this create object function is the last function. I hope you like this short series, and I hope that you learned something. Yeah, there's nothing more to say. Have a good time. Also check out our website below this video. It is linked, and we will see each other in the next video. Have a great time. Bye-bye.